Hey, Advanced Drawing. I'm going to give you the next assignment for this coming week, and that's actually going to become the project that you're going to do the week after. So this is actually a 2-week assignment, but you're going to be doing it in 2 steps. So this coming week, or this week that we got going on, you will have 2 drawings that need to be turned in, and those 2 drawings will be of glass. So what you're going to do is you're going to take a simple glass that you have in the house. Take a simple glass, set it up, and draw it. Now at first you're going, all right, well that would be pretty simple. Not really. You need to have enough background and enough understanding of what's going on in the glass to make a clear object look like it's solid. So it's a little bit more difficult, and I will show you here in a second on these photos. All right, so here we go. I'm going to try on my iPad and see if you guys can follow along with what I'm doing. What I'm going to say, the best way to get started with a simple, basic piece of glass is to make sure that, one, you're using a central axis. For those that remember the Coke bottle story, you'll understand why it's so imperative to get a central axis going down the middle of this thing. All right, so basically what I have right now is the Coke bottle, and I would have to set up that central axis. Now, if you can remember back to Art 1, how we set up an eye level. Well, your eye level is going to be just a little bit up higher here. Okay, so think of it up there. As you go farther away from the eye level, the ellipse becomes bigger. This is a good example right here. If you look at the ellipse right here, and I'll put the central axis of that ellipse. See how thin that is. And then you look at the central axis that's down here of this ellipse, and look how much wider it is. Okay. So the fact that it is farther away makes that ellipse a little bit wider. Okay. Now that's just the structure. After you follow that central axis, and then you make your ellipse, go there, then you can start to get your structure right. Now after you have that structure, you can move away from your 4H pencil and start paying attention to the glares. So let me change layers here. Turn that one off, turn this one on. I'm going to make these red just so we can see the difference there. And what I want you to do is I want you to pay attention to all the different glints and glares that you might see. One of the first things that I would say to point out is find that line that is your table line. Now watch what happens as the table line goes through your object. See how it changes and goes up? Okay, that's going to be one of those things that's going to help you understand better how this is interacting, and the fact that this is going through 2 layers of glass and it's causing a distortion. Okay, after you do that, you can then start finding solid glares. So right here, there's a solid white glare. Okay, there's a couple of dark values down here that are pretty long and very defining. You might find some shapes here, but find these individual shapes, and that's the key to drawing this. The lip, the lip of the glass here is not just going to be one dark line. If you look, that dark line that's right there, there's also a light line, and there's a light line there along with that dark, and that dark line doesn't go all the way around. Maybe it has a little bit there, and then there's a spot. There's nothing. And then it goes back to a very thin line. Finding those kind of details are what's going to make this feel like glass. And it's a really difficult project because glass, although it's solid, is see-through, so you're kind of creating something out of nothing. It's finding all these different glints and glares. Now I'm working on a surface that is dark. So it's a dark table. You might have a light table, and at first you're going, okay, well, having a lighter table would be easier. Yeah, it might be, but you're still going to have to find maybe the shadow that comes down here, the value, the difference that happens between this to this. That's going to be crucial. Even on a white table, you're going to see that. Okay, finding the glares that are here and seeing the blobs. Now those blobs are coming out because of this dark value. But those blobs are also going to come out when you're working on a light surface. Okay, now they might not be white blobs, maybe even dark blobs. Find them. If you see them, draw them. It might help to take a photo of it just to be able to see those glints and glares, but finding the blobs is crucial. Now, I don't want you to work off of that photo, but again, it would help you. Okay, so now we're working on the more difficult one. This would be considered a week 2 project because you're working on a difficult object and one of the simpler objects, and you're putting them together to where there's some overlap. Now, when you look at this, it's again critical to have that center axis going down the middle, okay? Especially for a Coke bottle here, or a Coke glass in this case. You don't want to have this odd shape. So having that center axis going down the middle, then figuring out your center axis on your ellipses. Okay, so there's my center axis. Figuring out how wide it is here and how wide it is there. So if it's 2 inches going this way, it's going to be 2 inches going that way. Okay, if it's 3 inches going this way and 3 inches going that way, that'll make sense. After you do that, draw the one side and then draw the other. And you should be able to get it close to where it's not looking lopsided. And even though this one's pretty much straight on, you still want to have that center axis going through the middle and figuring out your ellipse. Okay. All right, so let's get off that layer. Let's start a new one. Now, with this, when we're working on better color, when we're working on this, you need to make sure that you're paying attention to how they are interacting. Okay, so week 2 is going to be more difficult, not just because of there's going to be some more odd shapes that are created in this, but it's also going to be how this glass and how this glass in the foreground is affecting the glass that's in the background. Remember, this has 2 panes of glass, so this is one pane, this is another pane, and then it's going and affecting another couple panes of glass. So there's going to be all kinds of weird distortions that happen. So here's some weird shapes that are created. Showing those will make this more understood as glass. And I talked in the last one, or in the last object, about finding those dark shapes. Here's a good example of a dark shape. Another dark shape. These dark shapes that are created here almost have like a little bit of a jagged feel there. Showing those and seeing how it interacts with your background again would be very helpful to making glass feel solid. Okay, so after I shot that video and I edited it all together, then I came to a realization that's right, you don't have school on Friday or Monday because of Easter. So what I'm going to have you do is you will have one or two drawings of one simple object, so one simple glass, and then another simple glass. So that'll be 2 drawings that you need to turn in, obviously not on Friday, because that would be Good Friday. You'll turn it in the Tuesday after, so anytime before that uploading. Okay. Now, one thing I would say that I did not mention in the previous part of the video is try different backgrounds. Okay, so right now, obviously, the one that I have in the example is on a dark surface with a light background. As long as there's a contrast there, it will help you get through that. Okay, having that contrast and seeing that wavy in the background, that'll be one of the first things that will help you. But it may be, more beneficial to try something like this, where you are working on a light surface and you have a darker background. Make it a little bit easier. So try them both and see if that works. So, so for Tuesday, I'll need one like this and another one like that. Okay, so 2 simple drawings of glass. Make sure that you're paying attention to all the different values in that glass. It's crucial to make it look realistic, and make sure that you're spending about an hour and a half on it. Okay, so think of it as 2 periods for each drawing. So 2 periods on this, 2 periods on the one that I just showed you, and then the week after Easter. Okay, so the week after Easter, you'll have 4 days worth. Okay, so think of that more as like a 3-day drawing, and that, or a 3-hour drawing, and that will take something difficult. Okay, so like this is a little bit more difficult than the one I just showed you. So that would be a difficult piece of glass, and maybe put a simple piece of glass back behind it. Okay, so putting those 2 together and seeing the interaction between the 2
That is what I'm looking for. And that will be 4 days worth. So again, that's 3 days or 3 hours worth. Why am I getting this wrong? So hope everything is going well. Hope everybody's doing well, and I'll see you soon.